Hey everybody, welcome back to the CAF Plus channel. We've got a interview for you tonight from a gentleman who's been in the chat a bit of late, and if you went to OAX, you might have met him there as well. It's Dave Pazzano, or PZ Pazzano, as he's known on CAF and in the chat. I see PZ was making some posts before we got started here. All good. So lots of great things going on around here. One cool thing we can announce, and I'll bring in Dave to announce it too, because we were just talking about mystery sketches not too long ago. Well, first off, welcome, Dave. Let's welcome you to the show.
Thank you.
You're new to CAF, as as I mentioned in the outline, but you've been to OAX. You've picked up some mystery sketches. You're a part of the community, and we welcome you here.
Thank you. It's definitely interesting to have jumped into original art collecting just over the last year and a half, and it's been an interesting journey to get here tonight, and definitely never expected to ever dip my toes into original art.
Now, why do you say that, though? I mean, what were you a collector of other things prior to original art?
So I think, as a lot of us end up getting into original art, we started having an interest in comics, usually at an early age. So when I was a little kid, my father had collected comics when he was a kid, and of course he goes off to college, and his mother throws out all of his comics, except for the Justice League 1 and 2, a couple of early issues of Action that he had, and so he was able to pass that on to me and kind of get me into this interest of comics, starting in DC, and then kind of on my own dip my toes over into Marvel, which was probably at the time a much edgier comics from X-Men, Wolverine, Punisher, at the time, as compared to Batman, Justice League, Superman, in the early and late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Really collected heavy through most of the 90s, and then as life occurs, college, and then a career, fell out of it, and then didn't actually get back into comics until right before COVID, a year before, two years before.
But were you buying because of the collectability of comics? Or were you buying them because of the story? What was your focus there? Because some people who started out collecting comics were really doing it because they were looking at the price guides and they're trying to figure out if what they're getting is a good deal or a bad deal. Or were you buying them just because you liked reading comic books?
For the most part, just for enjoyment, really. The stories, very much the art. I think a lot of my favorite artists at the time were very much very detail oriented, like had their own unique styles.
Mm-hmm.
You saw a Teixeira, you knew it was Teixeira, right? Whether he was doing Wolverine or Punisher, the minute you saw a piece, you knew it was Teixeira. Matt Wagner, very much unique. Linsner, I've enjoyed Joe's work for years, but the minute you see a cover or a piece by him, you know it's him.
Mm-hmm.
So I really enjoyed the art, but the stories as well at the time were great. Obviously, we got that big bubble that occurred as the 80s or as the 90s went on. And yeah, there was probably a little bit of speculation, like you're a kid in high school and hey, Spawn just came out, and I'll grab 2 or 3 issues or 2 or 3 copies of issue 1. Why not? Maybe I can make a buck. But no, it was never really heavy into investment at that point. It was really just the joy of reading and the art. But then falling out of it, I still went to Comic-Cons, but was much more into celebrities at the time. Every once in a while, I might stop by if it was Arthur Adams or somebody that I really liked as a kid, but didn't really collect again until um, 2018, 2019. And then I dragged out all of my old books. And one of my favorite books was a Mirage Turtles book, issue 19, Return to New York. And growing up in New England, you always had access to Peter Laird, Kevin Eastman, Jim Lawson, all the early turtle folks at all the cons that I'd go to, my father would take me to as a kid. And of course, they wouldn't charge back then. They would sign, they draw all over it. Obviously, back then they would do everything on the inside, but they would fill up with drawings all of the exterior boundaries within the books that you brought them to sign.
Hmm.
It's a really unique piece, and I loved all the little doodles and art that they did in it. Well, I drug that piece out and opened up the book, and it had been crushed over 25 years of storage. And I thought to myself, it would be great to just try and recreate that. Obviously, a very different world with getting signatures and remarks now. But I was able to kind of recreate that on a fresh copy of issue 19. And that's kind of started dipping that toe into original art. And I said, hey, I'll flip through these binders every once in a while. I'd look through the binders of original art during the early 2000s at Comic Cons, and the prices always kind of amazed me.
What
Nothing
means you won't wait? In the early 2000s, things were a little more affordable.
true,
So,
but where I was in my career, it was
right.
still a little eye opening, right? But today, about a year and a half ago, said, I've loved Matt Wagner's work for so long. I'd really like to get a commission by him, and that was kind of the start of this journey down the rabbit hole into original art.
What year was that?
That was 2024.
Okay, so just in the last year and a half, like you said, that was the thing that pushed it, was wanting to have something that wasn't just a comic book or a signature or a remark, but actually having an actual commission from him.
Exactly.
That's cool. So how did you go about getting the first one? Did you reach out to him on social media? Did you go through his agent? Did you track him down at a show?
Tracked him down at a show. So he doesn't or hasn't been doing a lot of shows, and he was going to a show in Cincinnati, and I said, we're going to go to that show. It was convenient. My wife's sister is out there, so we were able to visit her as well. But we were first in his line and laid out some parameters for what I'd like to see in a commission from him. Done some research online to see some of the other examples of works that he had done, and he was all on board with it. So yeah, that was the first dip into the pool, and then kind of have last year dove a bit more headfirst into it, and my collection definitely has expanded significantly.
Well, that's yeah. You don't regret it though, right? I mean, you're still early, so
not at all. I mean, I think we all run into instances where we might regret a commission here or a piece that we purchased there, but it is a learning experience, right? In regards to, all right, maybe I do need to give more parameters, a little bit more boundaries in regards to ensuring that what I'm interested in and what I'm looking for shows up on the page.
Well, new collectors have a lot to learn, that's for sure.
Oh,
but I think everybody always makes mistakes getting started. I mean, at the end of the day, how can you not, right? Because it's all exploratory, right? You're just trying to figure things out. And if you're, more of a sketch commission collector, you might not like everything you get back at the end of the day, and that's just it happens. And you kind of learn and you move on. You learn how to set different parameters with the artists that you choose to get commissions from or something, and or be more specific. A lot of times, you just never know what could go wrong. With those sorts of things. But everything that you showed me that we're going to show off tonight came out pretty well. That
Oh, absolutely.
wasn't a
And
published piece.
for sure. And no, I definitely appreciate everybody that I've met on the journey so far at OAX. The time that you took when we ran into each other at the bar before OAX started,
Hmm.
and just to talk. Uh, there's a picture on Facebook of a group of us that were first in line on Friday, and so I think somebody termed it John Higashi holding court, but it was John, it was Peter Rowe, it was myself and my wife, Ian Saint, um, and we were all there and just talking. And I have and still have so many questions, right, in regards to like how do you right you use money isn't something that is infinite. It's not an infinite resource that you can just draw from. And so, how do you price out how much should I spend, right? How much should I expect to spend on a
Hmm.
piece, especially now where we've moved into this more digital environment where you have blue lines. You may still have an inker that comes in, but how do you set an
I do.
expectation? How do you price that out mentally?
Research.
Yeah,
That's really what it
exactly.
comes down to, right? You have to have, you look at Heritage, you look at eBay, you look at CAF's market data, all that kind of stuff. You have to get a feel for what other things have sold for. Because at the end of the day, anybody can ask anything they want, right? For a piece of
Absolutely.
art, and usually everybody's going to ask for more than, or at least, that it's worth. But it's just how the game goes because everybody expects to haggle. So knowledge is your best friend at the end of the day. And it's not just, from, just being, book smart on pricing, but,
Mhm.
uh, you know, just having friends in the hobby that you can ask their opinions of. I mean, I've got friends who've been in the hobby for years and they still will, you know, uh, call me up or ask another close friend, what do they think the best, the right price is on something like this? Do you think this price is too high? So you never know. But having somebody to at least bounce ideas off of and get their opinion is always better than going blindly into something. So that's CAF, CAF and the people you've met there is a good place to start. Peter Rose always he's pretty knowledgeable, at least on the war side of art pricing. John Higashi knows a thing or two about commissions,
He he
and
does.
number one Marvel fan Tom, he knows a few things about Bronze Age Marvel Sal Buscema art. So he's
Yeah, and it
it's just
was
like you want to have friends in it, like every compartment of art collecting, so you always have somebody to ask a question of.
for sure, and it was great also helping set up and hauling in some of those screens
That was
for
great.
OAX.
You enjoyed. Can we sign you up for next year?
Absolutely, we should be down early enough, not a
Good,
problem.
good.
But just being able to meet both Toms, DC and Marvel Toms,
Mhm.
and then some of the other folks that I'd already met, it was
Yeah,
good.
you guys did a great job helping us set up that room with the pro panels, getting them out of
Mhm.
the truck and just, I mean, not necessarily setting them up, but putting them all in every space so that the team that had to go in there and actually do the work were able to get it done in 3 or 4 hours versus 6 or 8 hours like it took them last time because they had to carry everything around.
Yeah, no, glad we could help. I mean, honestly, it. So as I said, we've been doing different Comic Cons since basically 2000, more from a celebrity side,
Mhm,
uh, and um, I'd say prior to OAX, both my wife and my favorite uh, con was Dragon Con in Atlanta,
mhm.
mainly because it's just such a unique event that no other con is truly like it because it doesn't end. It's 24/7 for 5 days straight, 6 days straight, depending upon when you get there and it start when you.
Were you actually able to go 24/7 for more than, uh, 48 hours?
Back in the day, not
back in
not
the
so
day.
much anymore.
But it's
But the
exciting to be around is what you're saying, just the fact that you
absolutely,
can do something, at any time of day and enjoy it. I've actually never been to Dragon Con, but of course that's the way it's described, right? It's nonstop, activity, and there's something to do at every moment of the show since they pretty much take over the downtown area and several hotels.
for sure. Yeah. But up until OAX, that was probably our favorite show. I'd been going, this will be my 20th year in a row. My wife's gone for, this will be her fourth year. Um, but OAX has taken the crown. It's so unique, and such a level of interaction that you just don't get, with, in particular, artists and creators at any other con, that we're looking forward very much so to 2027.
Well, we like hearing that, as you might imagine. Uh, but we were just angling to make the best show possible for people who collect art and also for the artists that, want to sell their art. I mean, at the end of the day, we wanted a show that worked well for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're an auction house or a dealer or a rep, art collector. If everybody doesn't come away happy and feel like they got everything out of it, then it wasn't worth doing. And I think that I definitely think we're getting there. I mean, I'm glad to hear that, for you and for other people we've talked to, that we were on the right path. But I think it's cool that, that when you're first, being, in line there, you were the first to get your badges though.
We
So you were in front of Higashi. Higashi was
were.
the
For that
first.
instance, we were, yes.
Okay, I did not see that photograph though. That would have been a fun,
I,
pre-show image. You'll have to send that to me.
I'll send that over to you for sure.
Because I do have your photo queued up right here to show that you were the first to come in and get your VIP exhibitor badges that morning,
We
and
were.
it was early.
It was right on time.
Yeah, no, you were right, and I even ended up taking a picture of the first exhibitors to come in after that. I was like, all right, I got the first attendee to come through and the first exhibitor because Jim Warden, ironically, Matt Wagner's rep, was the
Jim's a
first
great guy.
exhibitor to come through too. He was like ready to get started. He'd already had his breakfast and he couldn't wait to get in there and get his booth started. But
Yeah, no,
I
he brought some
appreciate that.
great pieces of Matt's for sure. But yes, so we really appreciated, just the opportunity to be able to interact with the artists like we were able to in such an intimate and direct way, and not feel rushed, not have a line of people behind us, so that you could actually take the time and not necessarily have to, all right, 60 seconds move, right?
Right.
Kind of the rat race that most big cons are. So we appreciated that, and I think, as I had mentioned to you before, didn't feel as though there was ever enough time. Like the VIP preview night, you blinked and it was gone.
Yeah, that's going to be different, next year. We're
Understood.
definitely doubling the amount of time for preview night. I mean, we haven't
Appreciate
figured out
that.
the start and end window yet. I mean, I think we
Mhm.
have, a few ideas in mind, but yeah, definitely 2 hours was not enough. And definitely I could see it felt, like it started and was over, in the blink of an eye for all of
Absolutely.
us as well. So yeah, and that's probably the biggest thing that people have suggested, is make preview night a little bit longer because, it's our first year doing it too. And we didn't know what length of time would be adequate for people to get on commission lists and those sorts of things. And yeah, so no, it was a 3-day show, but it'll really be a 3-day show next year with
Nice.
let's say a 4-hour preview, late afternoon or night, however we're gonna kind of term it. And we're just thinking of different stuff for Friday just to keep it fun, but keep people happy. That's
Yep.
that's the goal. So did you do any like, not that I want to like dwell on OAX, but did you get to do any socializing after the show?
A little bit. You mean in regards to just interactions, whether it be in the
Hanging out
happy
at
hour
the
after?
yeah, or they're going
Um,
to the bar, going out to a dinner with some other collectors.
so Sunday night, we actually got quite a bit of time. So towards the end of the show, I hadn't had an opportunity to get anything from Josh Cassara in regards to a commission. Went to his table, started talking to him, talking to Martha, his wife, my wife, and she hit it off. And so we probably spent a good hour and a half at the end of Sunday and purchased a few pieces from him. We actually met up at the bar after the show shut down. Everybody get a chance to wash up and change and all. And we sat and talked for another hour plus with the both of them,
They're
which
good
was
people.
great. Oh, they absolutely are. And then kind of was on a tour, whirlwind tour of cons since OAX. It kicked off a really busy time of basically back to back cons for 5 weeks for us. Yeah.
Wow. What else? Where did you go?
So we did Emerald City in Seattle.
Hmm.
Uh, then we had a local convention. Then we had MegaCon back in Orlando, and then we had C2E2 in Chicago, and then we were back for another local con up here that was small. So
Wow. You
we're now
really no, there's no stopping. So I mean, how much art did you pick up at these other shows?
far too much, to be fair. But it was great because, for instance, we didn't actually get a chance to stop by Aranga's table, even though he was right next to Josh, and talk to him. And um, we saw him at MegaCon, and he had put up a series of pieces on his socials, and I was interested in a couple of those, so we stopped by. We started talking to him. We chatted with him for a solid hour. Told him who he'd gotten some commissions from at Mega, and he's like, "When you get those, bring them back. I'd love to see him." And so we went back Sunday for an hour, and he was flipping through the portfolio of everything that we'd picked up, and just great. I think he made some spicy suggestions for OAX 2027
Oh no.
commissions for me.
Yeah.
So I'm all on board. Looking forward, hoping he's back for 2027. But such a great interaction again, all rooted back to OAX.
Hmm. No, well, that's I think ever since we really started doing live streams and things, I think the relationship building has been much easier for a lot of people, and I think that they from one time you see somebody on a stream to when you then next get to see them at a show. I mean, it's like just regular continuations of friendly conversation. It's like I didn't know Aranga from anybody until I did an interview with him, or maybe he was on a collector conversation or something, and then it's just like next thing you know, when I see him in person, we're all best friends,
Right.
and that's like been the most fun I think of the last 6 or 7 years of CAF and CAF Plus, and the things that we've done in the hobby is um, just seeing the friendships that have come out of it. I mean, I guess it was always doing that, but it was more in your face when you get to see and interact with people, through live streams like this and everything. But yeah, Ranga's one of the best. And if anybody can spice up an illustration, it would be that man. He's
Yeah,
not.
I don't usually need help, but he definitely threw out some interesting ideas.
Yeah, no, that's true. Marcus says we always could use booth babes. Yeah, that's we not no we don't. Nobody needs booth babes, Marcus.
No,
Um,
no, Marcus having gone to Emerald City and C2E2 and Mega, uh, there were some booth babes that definitely got into trouble at Emerald City, or certain individuals took umbrage. So definitely need to keep it mildly PG-13. We won't be doing that tonight with all the pieces, but I do try to actually keep my calf very PG-13.
And in your CAF, you watermark your artworks. I noticed that.
I do. So I'm sure people have various opinions on that. I had one of my commissions and another original piece that I was the first to purchase show up on different Facebook groups.
Hmm.
Um, and I have no idea how they made it there. And so I just started having my wife put the watermark in. I'm not very technologically uh, competent in that respect, so she did the watermark. But it I don't mind. Like tonight, you don't have any watermarks on any of that, but
No, no,
um,
they're all watermark free.
and quite a few people, like I'll be at shows and they want to look through what I'd picked up, and they're like, "Hey, do you mind if I grab a picture?" And I don't mind at all, but um, literally, I thought somebody had bought a piece before me, and I'm like, I bought that directly from them. How's it just showing up? It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, as long as they're not making prints of it, that's the thing. That's when I think people get more concerned about images making their rounds. But
Hmm.
like if there's a Matt Wagner group out there, people would, on Facebook, for instance, it's very common to, see an image that you like and then share it, even though it's not one you own, uh, in groups like that.
For sure.
But I guarantee you, someone will send you an email saying, "I wish you didn't have watermarks on your images."
I'm
You've only
sure.
been there for a month, a couple months here. Like I think you
Mhm.
started in November, so you're still 6 months into CAF. But somebody will say, "I wish you didn't watermark your
Right.
images," because they love seeing things without the watermark. But hey, I saw Marcus said OAX is not family friendly. That's not true at all, Marcus. I mean, come on, we sell couples tickets. Kids 16 and under are free at OAX. I mean, if that's not family friendly, I don't know what is.
Yeah, to be fair, I met a couple of people that along at C2E2 and at MegaCon that both had done one day passes and brought their kids,
Mhm.
and they were there just to meet the artists and get some comics signed. And I'm like, hey, it's a great, even if you're not there really for original art, it's definitely a great opportunity and great. Uh, uh, Great opportunity, I guess, to meet them and have an interaction that you don't necessarily have at the bigger cons.
Right, right. I mean, the ticket prices are a little higher than normal, and that's kind of to keep so you just don't have the people that want to bring in piles of books to get signed
Exactly.
to come to the show. But yeah, you try to price it right. But no, I mean, come on, we encourage people to bring their families to the show because of all the parks and things around. I mean, that's really why Orlando was kind of the choice for the show, was so that people could make vacations out of it and do it in the winter when people want to get the heck out of cold weather.
Yes, we were definitely coming from New England. Absolutely, looking forward to that. We actually did Epic Universe on Thursday before the show. Unfortunately, it being winter, we did get stuck, like several other people.
Yeah,
And
there were many people.
we
Had I
weren't.
known, we would have rented out something on Monday night, and Kazra and I would have thrown a party for everybody who got stuck in Orlando for a couple days. But uh, we were all probably too tired on Monday.
Oh,
But it would have been good to do something after learning how many people were actually stuck in the area for so long.
yeah, we ended up flying up to Raleigh Durham. I have some clients there from work perspective, so I was able to get some work done, but we weren't going to be able to actually to get back home until Saturday was the soonest that they could fly us back up. So um, we were able to get out of Raleigh Durham on Thursday.
Well, that was a crazy storm. We're very happy that it did not happen on Wednesday or Thursday before the show, or that would
Absolutely,
have really ruined a lot of things. So timing is everything. But the show's in March next year, as you know, so
it is.
we won't be worried about that. Sorry, I'm just trying to look through the chat to make sure I didn't miss anything here. But uh, so cool. So, but the thing is, I do have to say that doing 5 consecutive shows is impressive. That's not
It,
something that a lot of people have, let alone the time for.
Mhm.
And you just said you're coming from New England, so it's not like you're central, where it's just you're kind of the center of the hub going to Emerald City or Orlando to Chicago. You're up in New England,
Mhm.
so you got a long trip no matter where you're going.
Absolutely. It's definitely a grind, or it was a grind. Next year is great. Everybody seems to have their own month, so that works out much better for us. My wife likes to joke with people that we meet. We don't take a lot of vacations. Our vacations are going to cons, but we take some extra time, right? We'll go and explore the city. We have our favorite spots, especially for cons that we go to year after year or every few years. And so we know this sushi restaurant here. We'll go to do the underground in Seattle this year. We'll do the Space Needle next year. So it's nice opportunity to get to, whether it be OX and being able to go to Universal Disney, or Seattle, Chicago, San Diego, to get to see other cities.
Sure. So, other shows that are comic art focused would be like Baltimore, Terrificon,
Mhm.
Heroes. I mean, all East Coast shows. I mean, have you been to all of those?
I have. Unfortunately, we won't be going to Heroes this year. Uh, I hadn't realized what weekend it was. We had a great time at SpaceCon in San Antonio in October. They scheduled their next show for June instead of October. And so it's the same weekend, and we'd already booked that. But absolutely doing Terrificon. It's one of our more home cons for us.
Hmm.
And it's a great venue, and also a lot of access to artists. It absolutely is one of the more comic focused cons that's still out there.
Right.
And then we'll be doing Baltimore as well.
That's good. Yeah, I've only been to Baltimore once. I've never been to Terrificon,
Mhm.
but Heroes a lot. So yeah, we'll miss you. But I'm sure you'll have a great time at SpaceCon.
Yeah.
But I've never heard of SpaceCon though. But what's the focus?
It used to be Superheroes Con,
Mm,
and Bob, who puts it on, uh, just likes bringing in big celebrity guests. And so when it was Superheroes Con, he'd bring in kind of the big Marvel guests. Now that it's more Space Con, he still brings in some good Marvel guests, but also a lot of Star Wars, Star Trek guests as well. So much more celebrity focused.
well, nothing wrong with that. So back to your art collecting then.
Absolutely.
Before we look at art. So clearly, you've read comics for a long time. You've been going to shows forever. What artists are on your want list that you haven't had the opportunity to see in person or order something, through their website? I mean, do you have like a bucket list? Do you have a spreadsheet you put together?
So I do have several spreadsheets. Not so much from a who do I still need pieces from or want pieces from. That's more kind of a mental list that I keep. I would say probably the two big ones would be Sienkiewicz. Thankfully, I did buy that Electra piece from Anthony
Hmm.
on one of your shows a few weeks ago. Picked it up at C2E2. Um, since Sienkiewicz is much more West Coast, granted he is doing Como at the end of the month, but just haven't had the opportunity to cross paths with him ever, which is interesting. We usually have a much better time in running across folks than that. And then
Yeah.
Jim Lee, met him as you saw. I got several photos
Hmm.
with him down at MegaCon, but didn't get any commission from him. But a lot of my bucket list early on um, was Teixeira, Silvestri, Matt, Tim Vigil, Joe, Frank Miller, who I just was able to get a piece from at MegaCon, um, were kind of my um, big bucket list folks. Kevin Eastman, more from a Turtles perspective.
Hmm. Well, I mean, yeah, I understand. I know what you mean with Bill. I mean, he does definitely do more West Coast shows, but I haven't seen him. The last time I saw him on the East Coast was maybe New York Comic
New
Con.
York, yeah.
But that's been a while. But yeah, he's one of the more busy guys. I know that he doesn't do a lot of shows. I mean, we've asked him about coming to OAX, and he's got a very busy schedule, which is good
Mm.
for him. But he's probably easier to ping on Facebook than to get the opportunity to meet him at a show. But yeah, well, the thing is, you're not aiming low. You're going after uh, you know artists that are definitely still available, but
Mhm.
they're not the most affordable either. So you're not, a lot of people who get started, especially someone, you've been to cons for a long time, so it's not like you're just starting out and getting small convention sketches from people. You are picking up published pieces and getting more, like I think, you know, more finished commission style pieces that aren't your $200 head sketches and those sorts of things. Although from Jim Lee, you might be happy to get a head sketch, and that'd be fine to walk away from a show with something like
Absolutely, but it's always interesting what the artists' take on things are as well. Talking to Simon Beasley at a couple of shows, we're going to see him again at a few more shows as the year progresses as well, and then Tim Vigil. Both of them, their take is we want art to be accessible to everybody. Um, Tim's prices for a commission at a con, $100, super reasonable. Can be detailed or simple, $100. But his stance is I want it accessible to everyone. People that follow Simon or may have seen C2E2 post, they had a phenomenal set of pictures captured where a father and this little kid went up to him and he had a turtle's body count comic, and he just wanted Simon to sign it for him. And then he asked him, "Could you draw a little like turtle for him?" And the father didn't have the money to pay for a remark. Simon did this phenomenal turtle for him on the cover and gave it back to him. And just the photos were priceless. And talking to him about it after, like he he was like, "No, I love doing this. I love interacting with kids." Um, Granted, his tough guy persona definitely is very different than that. But he's like, I like making this all accessible and being accessible to people. I was happy that he decided to actually start doing U.S. tours again after COVID, because
that.
I didn't think he'd be making it back again. So
Well, there's some, artists and creators coming to the U.S. from overseas is, a little problematic these days. But, like you say, after COVID screwed everything up,
it
made
did.
people scared just to travel, let alone
Mhm.
anything else. But yeah, I mean, we'll get through all this and get more artists around. I mean, but probably trying to find a European show or something like that wouldn't be a bad idea. I forget what the show is the UK. It's in London, and, they bring in, like, 30, 35 artists. I'd have to Google it and figure out what it is, but it's such a stacked, like,
Mhm.
2000 AD show where I mean, where half of the artists are like, "Shoot, man, I mean, we never get these guys over to the States."
Right.
That'd be a show, like, I would encourage everybody to go to just because it's so dang unique, and,
Mhm.
uh, yeah, now I'm mad I can't think of the name of it. I'll have to dig it up. I'll send it to you just because
Sure.
it's one to just, like, keep your eye on. Because if you ever,
Mhm.
wanna do a trip to London and get in some sightseeing with that, that would be a cool show to, kind of pair up with it because the group that runs it, because they reached out to me, like, 3 or 4 during, like, I think their first show after the pandemic and, sent me their list and it was awesome, and every year
Mhm.
since, incredible. Um, but yeah, we're going off the track here, but it's not Thought Bubble though, NSN Art.
Mhm.
Um, Thought Bubble, of course, is a tremendous show, but no, this is a smaller. It feels like a smaller show. I mean, it's definitely a smaller show, and but again, it's totally stacked. The artists are incredible. But Thought Bubble would be a good one to go to too, as well. I
Mhm.
have to agree. That show looks pretty fantastic as well, but bigger. This one looks like you'd be able to hang out with anybody at the pub afterwards. A little bit more like an OAX style situation. So, everybody seems to be having birthdays today. I see Rich Cirillo had a birthday today. My wife had a birthday
Happy
today.
birthday, Rich.
DJ says his birthday is tomorrow on tax day. I'm sorry. Uh, that's not the that's not the day for a birthday.
Your birthday's this weekend, right?
Mine is on Saturday. Yep,
Happy
exactly.
early birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hanging out with Jiggy and his crew on
Mhm.
my birthday. That'll be fun. I got to see some of the art today, and yeah, there's some pretty fun pieces in there. There was
Oh, great.
a Spidey. Well, I won't give it away, but there, I think we'll probably be teasing some of the images on the CAF update on Thursday. But yeah, definitely some good stuff. Though I saw John Amore was in here, and I don't think I saw a piece by John in the preview that Jiggy sent me. So, John, get your art into Jiggy so we can see it. What else we got here? Yes, all Aries birthdays, Rich. That is very very true. Um, so so what else? So clearly you plan ahead on these shows. I mean, so if you had to like guess, how many more shows are you going to go to in 2026?
Um, let's see.
You got to have a calendar in front of you where it's just like you've got the weekends all crossed out.
I do. Definitely clients are not always thrilled with the amount of time I took off in the last 5 weeks due to deadlines, but we hit all the deadlines. But overall, I think we probably have, I'd say, rough estimate, probably a dozen remaining for 2026. That's
That's still pretty ambitious. I
yeah,
mean,
it's
even
probably
though it's
12,
9 months, but
15. Yeah.
wow. Well, I'm amazed. I think that's awesome. I don't think I've ever met anybody who can outside of people who are setting up who can get out to that many. You're not an accountant, clearly, or you wouldn't have been taking so many weekends off in the lead up to the close of tax
To
season.
tax season. No, I consult for biopharmaceutical companies. So.
Oh, sweet. Okay. They expect you to work on the weekends? Sometimes.
Uh, sometimes they do need to be on call.
All right. Well, Jenny says at least 14 shows minimum. Well, so that's almost two more a month. Nothing wrong with that. It'll keep you busy.
No,
Have you ever been to like the bigger shows though,
August
like
through November is
August through November? Well, yeah, it's con season, right? So you're definitely locked in for that window. Okay.
for
Have you ever
sure.
been to San Diego or New York Comic Con?
So San Diego, yes. New York, no. We have absolutely talked about it, but just haven't made that commitment yet. It seems more of a rat race, even though Mega broke their attendance record, as well as San Diego's attendance record this year, with I think 180,000 people.
Yeah, that's even though it's in my backyard, I've swore not to go. It's just too busy, too crowded. And I do remember the name of that show. I'm going to put it in the chat.
Oh,
And
great.
hopefully the guest list is as good as I remember it. It's called Lawless Comic Con in
Hmm.
UK. I think it's in London, but either way, check out the guest list.
Will do.
When is it? Yeah. Now I'm curious. But anyways, all right. Back to this. All right. So you got a busy rest of the year. Lots more travel. And but are any of the shows first time shows for you, or these are all familiar places you're going?
They're all familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, nothing wrong with that. So let's look at some artwork. I know that the first artwork is a bit of I put them in the order that you sent them to me, by the way.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. I
I think
almost
they tell a story too, kind of a progression,
okay.
kind of that dipping of toes, starting with Matt's piece first, um, which
I'm going to show it here, but first image is topless, everybody. So if the kids are watching, I mean, just
we're
tell them.
14 minutes early, but
Yeah, it's not quite 10 o'clock yet. You're right. We have 14 more minutes to go. But I think this might be the first piece that you said when you were looking up Mr. Wagner, right?
it was. Yep. So basically, had seen several commissions that he had done. Christine Spar, even though Hunter Rose from a Grendel perspective, um, was probably my favorite in first introduction. Christine obviously was an early favorite of mine and stuck with me. And he had done a commission um, of her topless before, and so I went to him and I said, "Look, I'd love a Christine topless. Beyond that, run with it." Um, and he knocked it out of the park. As my first commission, it was far and away beyond anything that I had expected for him to do. And so, uh, even during the show, talking to him about it after he'd produced it and what he was thinking, and how he was able to get it all done in the window that he had to work with when he wasn't at the show and interacting with fans. But it pulled in a nice splash of color with the roses, and just captured her beautifully, even though she's still wearing the mask, right? Um, to me, it's one of the most important things, and definitely most important things to my wife, is the beauty when drawing a female figure. Um, you have artists that can knock the body out of the park, but still capturing some level of beauty in the face, whether it's covered or some of the future pieces, an exposed face. Uh, you don't want to have this beautiful body and then look up and be like, wow, they just didn't capture that face. So very happy for my first commission.
No, it's, Matt Wagner is a good place to start. I think Matt's always kind of been an innovator in his own way in convention style commission pieces, whether it's stuff he pre-brings or the stuff that he draws at the show. So you really picked a great person to start with, as far as getting to work with, because he's always, to me, always been doing stuff that a lot of other folks have followed. I mean, when you look at just the way he outlines the figure and puts in the cityscape and throws the roses in there. I mean, that's kind of been his just signature approach to stuff. Whether he was doing, like pastels on canson paper, colored canson paper, just to make something that was totally unique and different on the show floor, or pieces like this. He's always approached his at-home commissions and the stuff he does at shows just professionally. And yeah, I mean, I can't say that I've ever heard anybody say they've had a bad experience picking up something from Matt Wagner. Even I got a free sketch from him. It was one of my earliest first convention sketches. It was it was it was just like the fastest sketch ever, and it just said Bill shouted, the character shouting Bill, but it was fun. He made my show just by doing that. And yeah, so this is much more involved than what I got, but no, I love it. And Matt's been at OAX for 3 years, so we've gotten to see a lot of the pre-OAX stuff that he's done for people. And I think, I mean, I think each show he's had a couple like cover quality commission requests, sometimes recreation, sometimes not, and they're always great, absolutely great. I mean, Matt, he's just he's a pro. He knows how to, he knows how to draw, and he knows how to keep his fans happy.
Absolutely. And I was thrilled to be able to get three pre-OAX commissions from him. And he knocked them all out of the park, because I wanted to do kind of a series of Hunter Rose, Christine, and then Grendel Prime. So he did an excellent job and just so great. My wife was even messaging with him and had him do a small piece for me as a gift as well. And even though it had no character, it was just, you could tell his style. Yes, exactly. And it was a simple piece that I can have in my office of the books that Hunter had written, with the mask kind of hanging in this library. Just a simple piece. And Matt, just as a great guy in general, we spent a lot of time talking to him at OAX, and very much looking forward to hopefully seeing him in 27.
Yeah, yeah, I would, well, I never know. At this stage, I can't
No,
promise anybody, but,
understood.
yeah, we still got a couple more, well, I don't think it's gonna be 2 months, but I know we're gonna have an announcement, probably, early summer, of our
Mhm.
first wave of, guest announcements. But yeah, no, Matt's he's been great to work with. That's the thing. He's always been really, he was great, the first year, like when we try to think of like people who would be great to have at the show. I mean, Matt he was like just easy to deal with. And that's what we appreciate more than anything. And Jim Warden working with him, they're just the best kind of combo to have out there. They're too easygoing, and just great to have on the floor. You put people who are like that on the floor. You're opening yourself up to have people have great times when you have fun people like that out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's see, and oh, number one Marvel fans loved his Kamiko Grendel.
Mhm.
All right, well, let's. We've been looking at her for a long time.
For sure. Yeah, so the next piece, which is a piece that of original art that Jim Lawson had done, as I said, I wanted to reconnect with all the old Mirage uh, artists to see if I could get that comic recreated, issue 19 recreated, and um, was talking to him as he was drawing, and he had some OA binders to look through, and this piece was just a homage to the Christmas special that they had done, and so I liked the piece because it harkened back and gave me that memory back to reading that Christmas issue when I was a kid. And nothing special, very much Lawson's work.
Mhm.
Um, I think a lot of the pieces that you'll see tonight are all the artists have a very distinct style, um, and I appreciate that out of the artists and art that I do collect.
Yeah, Lawson isn't somebody that I don't know if we've mentioned them on the channel before. I don't think it's been too often, but no, and this is a really fun illustration. I love the cross hatching, just carrying it through the winter coat and the scarf and the hat and the pants. I mean, it's just a very fun illustration. And we did
Mhm.
the Heritage illustration preview yesterday, and I mean, pen and ink work is just when it's done well, it just you just see stuff in it that really just makes you smile. I mean, I love the way he's handled just the cross hatching on the jacket, and then you see the cat. Just as just to throw things a little bit, but yeah, this is fun.
True.
Um,
Yeah, it's one of the things like you talk pen and ink work, like whether it be Frank Cho or James O'Barr,
mhm.
the level of work and detail that they can put, even in a commission piece that they're doing at a 3-day con, is amazing. Um, One of the pieces that Arango was very much looking forward to was to see what Frank Cho had produced for me at MegaCon, and he was very happily surprised when we brought it back and to show him.
Well, uh, Frank can kinda do no wrong. He can draw a beautiful woman, he can, and he's just got, there's a reason why he has, like, as good a cover gig as, or as busy a cover gig as, Joe Linsner, right? I mean, they
Yeah, or Adam Hughes, right?
or Adam Hughes, right? They've all certainly earned it in,
Mhm,
more ways than one.
for
Uh,
sure.
so yeah, but no, this is cool. So this was just something that he had pre-done, had in a
Yep,
portfolio.
yep. So, just wanted to pick it up because it brought back that memory, and I do enjoy his kind of classic take on the turtles, which kind of leads into the next piece, um, which I didn't actually put together as a jam piece. Jeremy Clark, who's an inker, um, decided because he does so many cons a year that he was going to start doing jam pieces when he goes to and does different cons with different inkers uh, as he kind of goes through the tours per year.
Mhm.
So this was from um, Big Texas Comic Con in October, and I was flipping through his original art. I'm like, "Oh, you're actually selling these jam pieces?" He's like, "Yeah, I am." I'm like, "Oh, that turtle one is phenomenal. I mean, it has so many good, great inkers have done pieces on it, and it's such a consistent piece. Um, you don't get a lot of jam pieces where people take a theme, especially a bunch of different inkers and artists take a theme and stick with it. Um, yeah, so there is that space on the left hand side over by
There's
Raphael
room.
under Rocksteady where we probably will do a small April on the left hand side. But yeah, so the idea of a jam piece, I'd never really had exposure to it up until seeing this piece and then talking to Jeremy and looking at some of his other jam pieces that he'd had done through the years. Um, and it's now for me a great way to actually commemorate some of the cons that we do go to, that if I don't want to get a commission, whether it be a 9x12 or a larger piece, just doing uh, a simple drawing on an overall jam piece, uh, I feel is a great way to commemorate who I saw at a show. Um, it was one of the things I was happy about, and kind of do want to make a pitch as well from an OAX perspective. I know there's this huge interest and to for sketch cards. Um, Thankfully, during the free sketch, I was able to find 4 different artists that were willing to do a jam piece,
Mhm.
which were kind of beautiful women of Marvel. Granted, I did end up with one Catwoman on there, but just simple head
Somebody couldn't follow
sketch.
the rules?
Uh, it was the first character that came to their mind, and
Ah,
sorry, it came
alright.
out phenomenally well. Um, but yeah, they all stuck to taking 5 to 7 minutes to do the sketch, and it came out great. Others wanted to stick only to sketch cards, which was fine.
Mhm.
My wife came back with a Wagner sketch card, an Adam Hughes sketch card, and an Amanda Connor sketch card, and she was thrilled for that.
Sounds like the perfect trifecta right there.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Um,
Wow.
but, but yeah, a good combination of sketch cards and then jam piece from OAX. Uh, since we see John Jiang and I love his covers at so many shows, we decided this year that we're going to get John Jiang um, jam piece at every show we see him at. We've already seen him at what 4 shows this year, 3 shows this year, and we're scheduled to see him at 3 more shows. So we'll have a 2026 John Jiang Turtles. It's all TMNT jam piece
Wow.
all by him. So
Well, he knows he's got work wherever, you if you're gonna be there, he's got a task. I mean, that's awesome.
absolutely. But yeah, just great work and very unique. Each piece here, like that splinter is just phenomenal. Even though he's tucked back away, he just jumps out at you in regards to the detail, the fine line work on that.
So if
Um,
you're doing a, jam piece over multiple shows,
mhm.
going into it, are you getting scans after every show so you can have a progression from beginning to end? I mean, what's your or do
For the
is
most
that
part,
not even
I missed one show, to be fair, and then um, I do have a plan in regards to which characters. Uh, John completely blew up the plan, but the direction he went 2 shows ago was great, so we're just gonna go with it. And that's the thing, right? With all artists, when you're doing kind of a commission base request or remarks or whatever, they need artistic license, right? You don't want to handcuff them completely to very specific boundary or specific output. And so I do love seeing and being surprised with what they come up with.
No, I've never done a jam piece.
Mhm.
I don't know why. Just never occurred to me to do one. But there's been so many cool pieces that have been created from people who have approached jam pieces. So I think that's awesome. It takes persistence. You got to be willing to carry that art. And maybe be disappointed sometimes where you want to try to get three sketches on it over the weekend. You only can get to two, so that probably changes your plans. But for somebody who goes to as many shows as you and Jenny do, I mean, clearly that's not a problem because
It's not.
the next show.
It's also probably a more cost-friendly way to do it as well.
Hmm.
And for people that are either on a budget or um, are trying to put together a whole piece with a bunch of artists because they have limited space, right? Like, I've been collecting for a year and a half, but how many portfolios have I already filled? Probably too many. But I would say that a jam piece allows you to maximize space
Hmm.
by keeping it on one page as well.
Sure, sure. You need fewer iToyas, and you're packing. I mean, how if you got an individual commission from each of these people, it would occupy half of a standard iToya. So yeah, you're getting them all on one page. You're right.
Exactly.
I never thought of it like that.
Mhm.
All right, what is now? So
Now
here's our second and last
last.
topless piece, right?
It
I
is, which
think.
is surprising. I think one of the most frequent questions that I got asked at OAX is, "What is your niche? Um, what is your interest? What do you collect?" And I started to tell people because, at least from a comic perspective, it's very much Grendel, X-Men related, um, Wolverine in particular, Punisher, kind of those comics that I read as a kid. And my wife, every time, would just shake her head as I was going through my response and say, "No, it's breasts. That is your niche. That is what you collect."
Well, you tell collectors everything. Was that your answer while you were at OAX, or did you temper that and said, "Nah, it's Wolverine," and
At OAX, I always gave the Wolverine X-Men,
but
and
here
she would
we had no problem revealing to the world.
no, not at all. And you probably saw quite a few of my pre-OAX commissions, which would
I did.
absolutely uh, support her
Yeah, you're
her
not lying.
niche. No, not at all. It's funny. Um, we're talking to Tim Vigil for a while at Emerald City, and he's like,
He's a
"Wow,
guy who's not afraid to draw a breast or two.
not at all, or more." Um, and he will take it in directions you never even imagined.
You give him liberty. You don't
Exactly.
you get that.
And I'm all about giving him any liberty that he wants to
Mhm.
take when doing work for me. But he's like, "So, am I the person that you own the most pieces by?" Like, no, unfortunately. It's like, why? I'm like, well, I was able to get 3 lots that contained sketches by Salazar, and he did 3 volumes of bondage books. So literally, I have over 60 pieces by him, and nobody else comes close in those regards. But the lots were just so inexpensive and so simple and easy pieces of work. Thankfully, they're all 8.5 by 11s, but they are all,
Mhm.
every single one of them is published. But, um, so this piece actually is the first published piece that I purchased, um, and it amazed me when I received it. So I bought this from Anthony, and he had bought all pages from this issue of Devil's Crucible, and when I opened it and looked at it, I never imagined the depth of the graphite and the ink, and how much. I mean, even in this picture, you don't get the depth of the graphite and the detail of the graphite that's not showing as compared to the ink. And that's really what you see a lot of, especially once Brennan comes in and does his coloring. You don't see the finer detail. So it amazed me, even though I looked at original art and published pages before flipping through binders at shows, what it actually looked like in my hand under the light of the house, and being able to see the level of fine detail that you just don't get to see, whether it's published or just at a con. So it very much got me a bit hooked on kind of finding pages from different artists to see what does it really look like, that original page, what mistakes or what finer details just don't show up in the published piece. So
Yeah, no, there's something special about getting published artwork. That's just commissions are fun. It's a totally different thing, but yeah, owning like you said, just being able to see smudges, uh,
mhm.
tanning in the if it, you don't know what you're going to get at the end of the day. If a piece has been out there for 30, 40, 50 years, there could be all sorts of weird problems with it, or things that would uh, if it was a comic book, would discourage you from buying it. But when it's a piece of art, it's okay. If the edges have been tanned because they were stored improperly or whatever, because that's all you can get. But yeah, I agree with you. With the way coloring is done today, it's hard to see the real art behind it, the pieces. I mean, you can see that with artists like Nick Klein and Daniel Warren Johnson, people who put a lot of tonal work in their pieces. A lot of that can get a little bit lost once it's published. So you can see a
Very
lot of
true.
depth in there. Like you just said, the graphite work and the shade and the shadow on the ground. You're
Mhm.
not going to really be able to see all of that once it's colored, depending on how it's colored.
Yeah.
But I can only imagine what it looked like colored. I'd
Mhm.
zoom in, but the breasts would get too big.
That
So
is true. That is true.
but no, that's awesome. So first published piece right here,
Yep.
and you bought it from Anthony Snyder.
I did indeed. I've bought a few additional pieces from that issue as well, that kind of completed this scene as well. But all, I think, except for one, is it only one is actually in my CAF gallery, as all the others are not PG-13.
Hmm. Well, there is a restricted mode to CAF, but yeah, there's even
There
limitations
is.
on what we want to see posted there.
True.
Uh, so yeah, welcome Matt Sardo to the chat this evening. See, he pops in and there's nudity on yeah. What are you gonna do, Matt? You're on vacation, so enjoy it. Matt's going to the second happiest place on earth later this week. So, but yeah, no, cool. Again, see, Matt Wagner, first commission and first published piece. Again,
Exactly.
great place to get started, even if you didn't buy it direct from him.
Yeah. So this is a piece by Alex Maleev. It was a commission, actually. He had, and I do find this, and it actually ties into an additional story further on, and an additional commission piece. But I do find with um, artists, they bring binders of original art, and you're flipping through, and maybe there'll be a price on it, maybe there won't be a price on it, and I tend to fall in love with a piece, and sometimes we'll hem and haw and walk away and have to come back and go through that thinking process. But there was a piece, a Doom piece that Alex had done, and it was more in greens, but with a little bit of the brown. And I'm like, oh, I'd love to purchase this piece. Oh, that's already sold. Okay.
Uh,
Um, he's like, I'd be willing to do a commission. of Doom for you. I'm like, absolutely. Uh, I love kind of the brooding Doom, and I love the work. The piece that he had done just had so much life in the eyes, like literally, it looks like it's staring out at you. Um, and I like how you don't usually see Doom with browns. I mean, there's brown in it, but it's usually a lot more green. Um, and so he took that and ran with it and produced this piece. The person that purchased the original piece that this was based on was like, I like that better um, than this, and I was just so happy. Um, my wife's daughter is very much into art and does a lot of gouache, and so they got into a big conversation about kind of watercolors, gouache, and um, how he does a lot of his work and the techniques that he uses. But he literally did that in a night, um, and I was quite thrilled by the output, and just the look and how those eyes just pull you in.
No, I agree. I love Maliv's work, and no, it's fun, and it's always good to have, another collector nearby telling you that they wouldn't mind owning it as well. That's always a good compliment when you score something like that that you're proud of, and you hear somebody else feel the same way.
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah, and so the next piece was kind of probably my second page that I purchased, maybe third, which was my first Teixeira piece. Um, it was a Facebook purchase. Um, Huge Punisher fan. I love Teixeira's run on both Wolverine and Punisher, and just again his how heavy he does his line work, and just the the line art that he does is just so you just see it in a sea of work, and you know it's Teixeira. And this piece, just the proportions and kind of the angles, and even just the shadow in the second to top piece or panel is just exactly what I'd want in a Teixeira piece.
Hmm. No, it's kind of like absolute Punisher. He's got that build, but it's awesome. I mean, the
Mhm.
way it's done. I love to share his work as well. Just even it's kind of got a fisheye lens kind of thing going on with the background behind him in that first panel too. And
Yeah.
yeah, no, he knows how to move your eye around. And honestly, when I was queuing up the pieces, I really love that the third panel as well with him,
Mhm.
leaping between the buildings. It's like
Lines.
Frank Miller-esque kind of a
Yeah.
uh, you don't think Punisher can be as nimble as Daredevil, and clearly he can because
You
he
can.
missed the he missed the jump. But
Mhm.
still, all in all, I mean, this is a really nice page.
Yeah.
Teixeira pieces. I've had a few over the years. I've sold them all at different times, but I'd love to get something back. And I see something like this, and it reminds me why I like his work too.
Right.
Yeah, this is a fun piece.
Mhm.
You're not going to say you picked this one up from Anthony too, are you?
No, no,
Oh, you said
this
Facebook,
is
right?
Facebook.
Facebook. That's right.
Um, yeah, somebody had posted that they were selling a few of their pages from issue 37, and uh, that was the one that I just spoke to me the most. Um,
No, that's a good pickup. Lots of bricks in that one, Marcus. You're right.
Absolutely.
Have you met Teixeira at a show?
I have. Yep,
Yeah.
now. Um,
He's a fun
Very
guy.
easy. Absolutely. I really enjoyed that interaction for sure. And so this is actually one of two pieces that I picked up during Comic Art Live in November. They were both two Joe pieces, a Dawn, and then a Jane Foster Thor that I picked up as well. And so I've been a fan of Joe since the first issue of Dawn. Um, Probably not similar to Vigil's work. Was definitely not age appropriate for when I read them the first time, but the the artwork was just so unique, and the the femininity that he brings and can express, and the beauty. It's also why when I'm when I was at C2E2, we're we're sitting, just finished lunch, and you held Joe's cover sale,
Mhm.
and I had to log on as we're sitting in C2E2 and start listening to that to see which pieces were going to come up, and whether he's was doing Dawn, whether he was doing Vampirella, Red Sonja, um, Draculina. You knew it was Joe. Like the beauty, and granted, some may say that the look does carry, um, all from Dawn, kind of as his um, kind of prototypical uh, female, but
That's his muse,
it
for sure.
absolutely is, and I think.
I've got good news for you too. He always is takes him a while to get his stuff in the mail. I
Mhm.
got the, tracking ID from him today, so I'll have the art on Thursday,
Great.
and, I probably will have everything in the mail on Saturday. So, yeah, it's he always promises me a week, and it always ends up being 2. So
That's all right. I'm still waiting on several pieces from that were pre-OAX commissions. So,
oh, well,
um,
that's never a good thing. I don't like
no,
hearing
it's
that.
not. But
We'll talk afterwards, but I love Joe's stuff. He's,
oh,
he's
absolutely.
such a good artist, and, yeah, I just love, getting to hang out with him and look at the cover drops. I just wish I got to see them all. Most of the other artists send me everything before the show, and then we just
Mhm.
ship it back. But yeah, with Joe, it's like I only get the stuff that's sold, but it's still cool to get to see it all and get to handle it before we ship it out. But yeah, I've always been a fan of his work. I just think he keeps getting better and better. And I was happy. You remember that fire? I don't know if you watched the whole show, but the fire and ice piece sold after the show. That was the one that had the tree in the background with the axe in it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that had so much detail in it. And it went to somebody who has a few pieces by Linsner as well. And they
Mhm.
kind of felt the same way. It was like a special piece to see Joe actually do that much background work and
Background.
not just focus on the figure.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's nice. But yeah, so I'll have it all in hand on Thursday. But this is gorgeous. I mean,
Absolutely.
I've had different pieces by Joe for a while, just from things I picked up from Anthony and a few other people like a Medusa and uh,
You had the
the
Mars
White Queen.
attacks, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I no, I didn't own it. I helped
Mhm.
sell it. Robert
Mhm.
Berman has a very nice Red Sonja Mars Attacks cover. Um, but Dawn was is what I think everybody wants. Like you were saying, it's like his muse and everything. So I finally I did end up getting a piece from him last year at OAX of
Mhm.
Dawn that he had put in the auction. So I
Okay.
got a bid on it, and then somebody knew I wanted it, so they sold it to me what the final gavel was, and I was happy to take it because at the end of the day, you want it Dawn. He hasn't
Mhm.
sold any of the interiors. I think one cover is out there over all the years, and so you can only get commission style pieces of Dawn, and then you're
Right.
really, is he going to do it going to a show? I think only one out of the 7 shows I've done with him did he even have a drawn commission of Dawn, and I think we only
Oh,
had
wow.
one. So we just don't sell Dawn pieces at all. So they're when they're out there and they're available, you get them.
Jump on it.
So,
Right.
so you
And
comic art live.
yep, and to be fair, all of the purchases that I've made, from other CAF members, uh, all of the pricing's been very reasonable. All of the transactions have been super simple, great from a shipping perspective, and I've appreciated it from a community perspective. I mean, my absolute preference is to buy from a fellow CAF member, um, than necessarily going to dealers.
Right. No, I mean that's CAF is. We knew early on, that a lot of people would be using CAF to sell artwork, and so I think everybody has by and large, a mutual respect for each other. I mean, they
Mhm.
want to be treated well, and yeah, I think that's why Comic Art Live, has managed to get to where we're at today. Just because I mean, if you had a couple bad shows where people didn't deliver art or act professionally, we wouldn't be at show 13 this time around. So
Right.
I'm with you there. I think there's things we can do to help facilitate stuff as far as like just making people know whom they can trust to buy from and that sort of thing. But
Mhm.
by and large, I think the cool thing is that somebody has a reference. I'm sure you already know that. Like if you haven't bought from somebody or they're new, it's not a faux pas to ask them, for some references of
Mhm.
other collectors they've dealt with, whether as buyer or seller, especially when you're just getting to know somebody. Because most people won't take offense at that. They'll be like, all right, yeah, talk to this guy, this guy, this guy, and they'll vouch for him because, you know, it's one way to at least guarantee that, a person's on the up and up, but with CAF, we've never really had too many issues at all, but this is a beautiful piece.
For
Man,
sure.
you scored.
Abs Absolutely. Completely happy with it. And so, yeah, the next piece, that you have up is or will have up, uh, was one of my first outside of Matt's, pre-OAX commissions, which was, from David Finch, and I loved his, Infernus, Ex Infernus
Mhm.
run, and his portrayal of Darkchild, was so detailed and amazing. I mean, David's work is again another one where you see it in a sea of works, and it's a Finch, and just the shadow and the line work in this, the cross hatching as well in the appropriate places. Uh, those hands are just amazing and so on point with his portrayal of Darkchild in that series. Um, and as a person, David is such a great guy, um, and such a trooper. Like literally, he was at OAX, he was at Emerald City, he was at MegaCon, he was at C2E2, and just uh, as pleasant from one show to the next, show to the next, even though he was absolutely swamped, and stayed so busy even at OAX with that show commissions. Um, but
Well,
so
it's great. I mean, Finch, that's why he always has a line, right?
Mhm.
He always delivers. So it's like just like Art Adams, right? You're if you can get on the list, you're gonna be happy with the piece that you get, and, Dave is just a, super outgoing guy. He's great with the fans. He
Mhm.
likes to talk with you while he works. Not every artist likes to be to draw right in front of somebody either, but, he's one of those guys that can still crank out fantastic pieces and carry a conversation at the same time,
He
which is not
absolutely
easy.
no, and, it was great to actually see him work at OAX in particular,
Mhm.
but then other shows as well. Like, there were some people that, um, wanted to film him while he was drawing and hold a conversation with him, and he just ran with it.
Yep.
Um, no, consummate professional and just an all-around friendly, nice guy. And Jason, I think handles people really well as well for him. Um, his art rep, and Jason and I have worked together, obviously on a few other pre-OAX commissions, and then I have him working, with some of his other artists on a few things. So, just been a great art rep to connect with, through OAX and continue that relationship.
Well, that's awesome. So then, what do we have for the next piece then?
Actually, another, Jason
Canetti.
represented
Yeah.
artist, which is Canetti. Um, so I loved Eric's work, going all the way back to his work on, Danzig's, comics. Again, probably not age appropriate, at the time, but when I had put this pre-commission in, I had put, uh, more of a bare-breasted Vampirella. Um, he didn't actually take it as more adult themed, or harkening back to his um, uh, earlier works. And so he did this piece, knocked it completely out of the park. Like, this is my wife's favorite piece from OAX that I purchased as a pre-commission, and as any piece that I bought at OAX. She absolutely loves this piece, and he did such a great job. Yes, his absolute Batman issues were great. Um, and so we were talking.
I love it. I mean, the
Oh,
bat in the background is kind of a, to kind of fill out the composition.
yep.
It's so smart,
And I
and
love
maybe
his
haunting. Yeah, it's great.
face and the ears on her in this
Mhm.
piece, which harken back to some of the earlier portrayals of her, versus some of the more recent. I thought he absolutely hit it, um, on the mark, and I liked how he had used a non-white paper, excuse me, for this piece,
Mhm.
because it just pops, especially with the addition of the white on it so much more. And so we were talking, and I'm like, oh, I don't mind the covered breasts, but I thought you'd go kind of a bit more bare chested. And he's like, oh, I didn't know I could go that far with this piece. He's like, next time when you do a commission, just ask for my smutty phase, um, and I'll know exactly what you're looking for. Like, good to know.
Yeah,
But
Eric's awesome. I mean,
absolutely.
I've got a few of his pieces as well. I mean, he's so talented, and it's
Mhm.
funny. I didn't zoom into it, but it's when you zoom into it, and you actually see all. There is so much work in here. Him just kind of like noodling through the flesh tones, and
Yeah.
yeah, I
And
think
then
it's a
just kind of the
fantastic
the
piece.
the blushing with and the reds,
Hmm.
and how it all ties together, not only just from what would be the eyeshadow, but you can see it in the lips, the ears, the blushing in the cheeks, and then it carries throughout the body. Um, that he did such a great job on this.
Nope, two thumbs up from me on that one.
Mhm.
Now, I'm looking at your CAF gallery while we're going through here, and I know that you said you had two Linsners, and there's not even one Linsner in
No,
your CAF
neither of the
gallery.
I haven't put either of those in.
Is it because Jenny hasn't put a watermark on them yet?
No, that's not why. Um, so one of the things is I do try to let people, if they were selling them, to show that they're sold first, and then to take them down from their galleries. And
Mhm.
some people take a bit of time um, to do that. I had one instance where I actually found one of the pieces online at an art dealer site. I'm like, so I emailed them and I said, "Hey, do you actually have this piece?" And I get an email through CAF from the individual that I bought it from, and he's like, "No, I sold this to you. Remember?" I'm like, oh, I didn't know that you're actually a dealer,
And have a different
um,
site. Yeah,
that has a
okay.
different site. So it's a learning experience for me in those regards, but I kind of give people the chance to take things down before I put them in the
Yeah, well,
catalog.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to when I get asked that question at least once a week, and I always say, "Well, tell the person that you own it now and you want to remove it. If they don't get back to you, then I'll tell them that,
Yeah,
because
no,
at the end of
I,
the day, you don't want the same piece on the calf twice because you don't want the piece like still getting, like you just said, it's a question of ownership at that point. It is in our terms and conditions that you should own the work or be the creator of the work. If it's the artist, that's a different story. I don't mind the artist keeping representative pieces in their CAF gallery, but
mhm,
and I know people keep the gone but not forgotten CAF galleries and things like that.
mhm,
But I mean, owning art is, it's yours, and so it shouldn't be shown elsewhere. And so I always say, well, ask them politely first because you're making a connection with somebody who used to own it. But if they don't take it down in a week, then I'll let them know it's got to
yeah.
go.
From my perspective, there's never a rush, right?
Mhm.
I wanted to put some more pieces up in my gallery than than when you had reached out initially about having me come on
Uh-huh.
tonight. And so I've absolutely put more in over the
Well, I'm
last few
looking for the
weeks.
Lady Thor,
Yep.
so, yeah, that
Be
was
on the lookout.
that's actually what I went to
I'll
look
get
for,
that
but it
up in
wasn't
the
there.
next week.
Alright.
So
Well, there you go. So I'm making my request.
yeah,
I want at least I want that Linsner in the next batch that you post to your CAF Gallery update.
for sure. We can make that happen. Yeah. So the
Fantastic.
next piece is probably one of uh, is the top commission that I got done from an OAX perspective. And so Miguel Mercado was not at the show. He's one of Jiggy's artists. I've loved Miguel's covers
Oh, yeah.
since he started putting them out. Um, kind of when I got back into comics. Uh, and so one of the ones covers that just knocked it out of the park was Goblin Queen in the Throne. And so Jiggy, when you had him on one of the shows, said, if there are any of my artists that aren't coming to OAX that you'd like a piece from, just reach out. So I reached out, asked him if Miguel would consider doing a piece. They asked what I'd like, and we started working together. He did a rough and then a prelim, and just he absolutely knocked it out of the park. Uh, the, the colors, the vibrance of her, kind of the beauty of her face in the prelim that he had done. She wasn't looking out at you. She was looking down and away. And I said, no, I want her to capture you with this piece, with the hair really framing it. I'm pulling you in. And so just the little changes, which actually was more than a little, for him to shift kind of the head and the eyes like he was able to do in how this finally represented was amazing. And then to couple it with the faintness of the two goblins, the two demons, very much so, Robert. Fully agree. Miguel absolutely knocked it out of the park. Very much Frazetta look and feel to it. So happy. Absolutely my favorite piece from OAX.
Well, he delivered on this one. I mean,
Mhm.
she's beautiful. The demon on the right. I keep going back to it because it's just all tonal work, right?
Right.
No real outlines, no real. It's just all
Mhm.
painterly done, and it's beautiful. I mean, the color choice on it. I mean, it's believable and cool. I mean, this is stunning, and I
It
can see
is.
why this is your favorite pickup from OAX. And it wasn't even an artist that was there.
Right.
That's like, yeah. I mean, that's cool in and of itself. But I can see why. I mean, I love it. And now, was it on tonal? I mean, it's like an off-white, kind of a cream-colored paper that it was done on?
It's slightly cream colored. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Jiggy sent me a picture of it on his coffee table before they made the trip over, and he's like, "Do you still really want this?" I'm like, "Absolutely."
Jiggy, he likes to sample his own stuff sometimes. That's his
He-
problem. I know he loves the work that they do.
Absolutely, all of the pieces that I got from his people were absolutely amazing. They all knocked it out of the park, but this by far was my
Yeah.
favorite.
Well, congrats. I think it's beautiful, absolutely
Mhm.
beautiful. Is and this one is in your CAF gallery, isn't it?
It
Yeah.
is
Yeah, I thought
absolutely.
I saw that one. Maybe was that one of your featured pieces? No, I can't
It is.
remember.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. And it's the image. Oh, well, there you go. It's the image on the
On the
header for
crossbar.
your cover
Mhm.
image too. Okay.
Yeah. Still
Cool.
trying to make it so that that doesn't shift with where I leave it. I'm okay with where it is now, but it initially I was fighting with it shifting up with a cut for it, but It
Yeah, I'm
it
looking at I'm
presented
sure I'm shrinking it to see what it looks like on mobile. It's not it's okay. I mean, it's a tough it is a tough space to fill. It took us a long time to get settle on the height and the
Mhm.
sizing and things, but
Yeah, I probably have to resize a piece and then do it, to make it fit
to get
perfect.
it perfect, yeah. I found a great, Wayshack Thor that I got from him last year as a pre-OAX, and it just fits
Mhm.
the space perfectly. It doesn't matter if it gets a little bit shrunk and taller, it just looks it looks great no matter what. But it took me at least, a dozen images before I found the one that I liked the most, so, when you have time to mess around with it, mess around with it.
Yeah, I'll have to check out your, CAF Gallery. I haven't seen that piece. I like his work.
Yeah, Wayshack is, fantastic.
Mhm.
But no, you did well, and,
Thank you.
I'm I can't I get Jiggy being proud of his guy's stuff.
Oh,
Now
he has a lot to be proud of for sure.
oh, yeah. Now is this, one of the pieces that you picked up from Kasara at the end of the show?
I did. So there were 3 pieces, they're all now in my calf. Excuse me, 2 X-Men pieces, and, a Deadpool Wolverine piece that had Strife very prominent in it. And just his work in all 3 pieces, I is just amazing, knocks it out of the park. Like, looking at, um, obviously the Cyclops on the cross, harkening back to Uncanny 261 with Wolverine on the cross, but then just the detailed work, uh, I and his kind of tone work on it. There were a couple of pieces that I didn't purchase from him, that had Domino, from the X-Force, run that he had done. It is simple, but in the same way beautiful, in regards to just the shading and the two tones that he tends to work with.
Yeah,
But
I should have mentioned, I mentioned, like, Nick Klein earlier. I mean, Josh, same way, puts
Mhm.
a lot of, tonal work in it that sometimes you don't get to see in the published stuff, but yeah, it just makes for a more finished looking piece, and yeah, this is fantastic.
Yeah, that actually is a great observation from a Josh perspective, because having gone back and looked at the comics, especially that X Force issue as well with Domino, that digital coloring really does, to your point, wash out, the fine tonal work that he does do, that really mm, adds to the beauty, of the pieces and the characters. And
Yeah.
and this absolutely was one of those instances where he had so much good so many good pieces, spread out across probably half a dozen, portfolios to just flip through. I just started pulling out pages and having him set them aside. Like,
You didn't wanna yeah, you needed to, set a stack and then go back through them and refine your choices here. I don't know how this one slipped past Jason D'Ambrosio. I mean, come on. A really mean juggernaut
yeah.
breaking through a wall. This is Jason written all over it, but you got it.
Yeah, there definitely was, another individual that was, disappointed, as he was watching over my shoulder, as I pulled individual pages out of the portfolio. Um, I did apologize to him. I didn't catch his name, but, uh, I was very happy, and he to bring the 3 pieces home that I
Was he
did
a
from
loud kinda guy,
very tall.
Okay, then that's not,
Yeah, it's not
Jason.
Jason, no. Uh, but no, this Juggernaut piece, just again, very much in alignment with, Josh's work, but kind of almost as a half splash, like having Juggernaut coming through the prison wall, was a great piece for me, and I just I have one other Juggernaut piece, but nothing published, and
Wow.
couldn't pass this one up.
I don't blame you. It's fantastic. And hey, hanging out with Josh at the bar after the show, it's hard to pass up any kind of art buying opportunity for
Oh,
you.
for sure, and it's unfortunate that we won't be in Como in 10 days, but um, definitely wish him luck there, and hopefully potentially see him at Terrificon. So this piece is a great story, and it ties back to kind of flipping through, like with Alex Maleev, flipping through their portfolio of original art and seeing just an amazing piece. And so this is Scott Hanna. Scott Hanna is heavily involved with Shredder comic that IDW is doing right now, and not just from an ink perspective. He's done a cover that this actually is a homage to. So issue 5, he had the cover that he had done. It didn't have a price on it, and so I asked him once I went by it 3 times, 4 times. I'm like, all right, how much is this piece? And he's like, oh, it's sold. All right. And so kept going through his work. I found a couple of phenomenal John Romita Jr. Pieces that were his pencils and Scott had inked for Captain America, that I picked up at the time. But I still really loved that cover. And he's like, I'd be willing to recreate that cover for you as a commission. He's like, I actually have the prelim for the cover with me if you'd like to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he pulls out the prelim, and I'm like, you mean you'd be willing to use that prelim as the basis to do the recreation? He's like, yeah. Well, he had done more of this bonsai look to it cherry blossom look to the prelim than the bonsai look, which was the final cover. And I'm like, I love the cherry blossom idea. Why don't you run with it and kind of do the background however you want? I actually love this piece even more than the cover. The colors in it, not that they weren't amazing in the cover itself, but the colors in this with the cherry blossoms are amazing. And literally he did this in a night. So we were speechless when we stopped by to pick it up from him the next day. And Scott's just a great guy. We've seen him at a couple additional shows. We had picked up some pencils from John at OAX, Punisher and Wolverine, and are actually going to have Scott ink them for us. But he
A good choice.
absolutely.
He's inked them quite a bit over the years.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we actually asked John at OAX. We're like, oh, if you had to have something inked, who would you claim as your favorite inkers? And so he said, if it's Spider-Man, Daredevil, hands down, Scott. If it's Punisher, probably Klaus. Both of them just get my style and have inked me so much on those books that those would be the 2 I'd go with. So.
Yeah, we can't get Williamson to do it, so yeah, either of those would be the current go-tos for sure.
Absolutely.
No, this came out great.
Mm-hmm.
Story.
Yeah. Yeah, and this next one, I put in my original art folder. So we're walking through Artist Alley, and I see Crease Lee actually at his booth, and he's working on this piece, this Malice piece, and just taken in immediately. I had wanted to see Kreese because I liked his work, and he was working on this, and I like, wow, it, is that just tonal, or is there actually color in that? And he's like, no, that's all tonal. I'm like, all right. He's like, I'm gonna add some color to it, and so I'm like, okay. Is that a commission that you're working on? He's like, no, this is just a doodle, a sketch that I'm working on. I'm like, that's more than a doodle. Are you willing to part with it? He's like, absolutely. He's like, probably won't finish it at the show, but I could ship it to you. I'm like, oh, are you going to be at? I think you're going to be at MegaCon. He's like, oh yeah, I am. Like, just bring it to MegaCon. I'll see you there. And so he's like, oh, I really want to put some brighter colors into this and kind of make her pop off the page. And I said, don't. Um, Stick to this understated. I think putting bright red around her just to make her pop off the page, I think will actually detract from the piece. And so when I picked it up from him, MegaCon, he and I were chatting for a while, and he's like, "Yeah, that was the right call. I used kind of a gray around her, and uh, you're right. She doesn't need to pop off the page. She stands on her own." But yeah, just the detail from a quote unquote con sketch uh, in this piece and the representation, kind of the current malice. He just did an excellent job on it. I was very happy to pick up.
Yeah, no, I agree. The red would
Unexpected.
have, I mean, it wouldn't have been bad, but it didn't need it.
No.
So that was a good choice.
Yeah. And then the next piece, as I said, was one of the Oranga kind of nouveau X-Men pieces that he had done for MegaCon. I'd kind of seen him working on it and put him on Facebook before the show, and he had the whole run of them. The Archangel piece was phenomenal. Before we even got to see him, it had already sold. But he was just a pleasure to finally get a chance to talk to. As I said, already planning some pre-OAX commissions, maybe even have him do a commission even before OAX, because he had just so many great ideas, especially when he was looking through the portfolio of things that he could do with different X-Men characters. So this piece, I love the tonal work that he did. I love the kind of nouveau style that he did with it. Each piece, the nouveau kind of boundaries captured aspects of the character quite well. I think they've all sold now, but each one was so unique, and just as a series of pieces, they just fit so well together. Great to have.
Ranga keeps getting better and better.
He does. I mean, that OAX piece that he'd done, where he just kept adding more and more and more characters, was just so impressive of a piece.
It was. Yeah, he's I don't know what he's going to do to outdo himself, in year 4, but I'm sure he'll come up with something. But
Oh, I'm sure.
he's become legendary at the OAX auction, and the pieces he creates. So I don't know what he'll do, but I know it'll be impressive.
Yeah.
And he took out a lot of sketch cards and pre-OAX too. I know he was.
Oh, did he?
He was one of the more busy artists. Yeah, I don't know if anybody had more than him. Well, maybe Matt Allison, because Matt Allison had like $40 sketch cards, and he might have gotten like 30 of them, along with everything else that he got. But Oranga, he took on a lot of work and got it all done. That was the cool thing. Was I looked at it, I'm like, man, he's got to have a lot of free time in the next 3 months from when we took it, and he did. He got them all done.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, keeping him happy.
Yeah, and that definitely is one of the challenges with working with folks, whether it be for OAX, though I think you actually give some solid time, for people to get their work done, but, from a con perspective, putting a request in, even if you get them first 5 minutes of the show, I can understand how it can be difficult for them to get their work done, um, and they take 4, 8, Frank at MegaCon took 10, which usually he takes 4 commissions for a show, and kinda was
He was
hot.
feeling ambitious, you
He
know?
was feeling overly ambitious. The next time that we saw him in, his, rep at, I think it was C2E2 was the next time, uh, he's like, "Yeah, he's only doing 4 for this show."
No, well, you get it, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes, I mean, back in the day when I was doing more con sketches, I would get on lists and then just never get anything. So it was always better for the artist to take shorter lists and just not even give you any sense of hope.
Yes, and I really appreciate, artists that are like, "Look, you're on the list, but if I don't get to it, like, I don't wanna take it home with me,
Mhm.
and I don't wanna hold your money hostage either," right? Um, because it I don't want it to risk for you, I don't wanna put a bad taste in your mouth if I don't get to your piece, I have your money, and it takes me 6 months to get to it. So, like Arthur Adams, um, was able to see him at Emerald, and I'd been looking at so many of his pieces, even his commissions that have gone for auction, and they just sell for so much money. But my wife was able to get in his line, was I think second on his commission list for an Emma Frost, and he did an excellent job. So reasonable to actually get it as a commission from him versus what they go for auction and
Yeah, the
resell.
aftermarket's pretty crazy.
It absolutely is,
But
but
people realize it's actually, better to just buy it at what you can get it for versus running the risk of not, getting on a list or getting on a list and not getting the work done. Pay a premium to get a piece you're happy with and knowing what you're getting too. So you
yes.
kinda can see it from both perspectives if you have the cash to do
Mhm.
something like that.
No, it's very true, but it's also great that, um, that his prices for the name, right,
Mhm.
are so reasonable, and he is just a person to interact with, when he's on, like, he is a genuinely great person to interact with and so knowledgeable, um, in the characters that he's drawing because he's worked on them for so long,
Mhm.
at least in the X-Men universe for sure.
Right. Well, congrats on the Araga.
Thank you.
You did very well with that one.
Yeah.
This looks like Stuart Sager.
It is, and I've enjoyed his work through the years, and, uh, we just started chatting with him. I had at the time, wasn't set on getting a commission from him, but looking through some of his original artwork, my wife again pointed out, he does beautiful faces on women. Um, she's like, "The bodies are great, but from just a face perspective, he captures a beauty and innocence, that you don't necessarily always see. I think we were kind of going back and forth on some of his original Phoenix pieces, and I said I really enjoyed your work on Red Sonja. Would you be willing to do a Red Sonja commission? He's like, absolutely. What parameters do you have? And my wife immediately is like, beautiful. The face needs to be beautiful. And I said, I love the hair um, from the Phoenix pieces that you have. and it really would complement a red Sonia if you could pull in some of that, the reds and the oranges, like those other pieces, and just the color and the hair, even though it gives some strong vibes of Phoenix, uh, it absolutely works from a red Sonia perspective, and just the simple shadow work, um, kind of the lips, the downward cast look of the piece of Red Sonja's face is absolutely beautiful, and so was quite happy with what he was able to produce.
And she's well rendered in all the right places too.
She very much is. It's funny, uh, at Emerald City. I knew I was going to see it between Emerald City, um, MegaCon, and C2E2, several Lady Death artists. Um, and not that it's Savage Land Cyclops, but I was like, it would be great, since I'm going to see these artists and I've loved all their renditions of Lady Death, to see if they would be willing to do commissions. Some of them I reached out to well ahead of the shows, to kind of line it up. One
Wow.
of them sent me their prelims and said, which one do you like the best? And so I picked a pose. I said my one feedback would be very much Lady Death, 90s, um, well endowed, buxom. And I'm like, oh, great. I can definitely make that edit. And then kind of the final pencils. He's like, oh, what do you think? Like, 90s, buxom, chesty. Um, and he's like, how's this? A little bit more 90s, buxom,
Yeah,
and
you're getting
chesty.
there. I feel like it's around you're around like 2001 right now.
Yeah.
You're getting closer.
He actually got there. But yeah, overall, again, what's my niche? Uh,
Mhm.
very well represented here. And then the last piece for tonight, was a cover, um, for uh, Rocky Mountain Comics, Vampirella issue 11, and it was done by Alyssa, who's a South American artist. And at MegaCon, I had seen the variant and loved the three versions, of the variant that they were selling, and so I picked them up. And we're at C2E2, and we walk by their booth, and I see this 11 by 17 pencils. I'm like, is that the cover, for the variant? And they're like, yep. Like, are you selling it or are you just displaying it? Oh, we're selling it. And they named a price, and I said, wow, I just love kind of the a little bit chibi, a little bit anime, look of the cover and on the piece. And honestly, I found some of the best art that's being produced right now for a very reasonable price is coming out of South America right now. Um, I've had a few commissions, coming out of Brazil, several kind of original art pieces coming out of Brazil. Now you still have to get them through customs, which can be a little hairy, but from a price point perspective, such a great inexpensive way to flesh out, um, a collection, and they're just doing some great work in my opinion. And the pencils on this just are sharp. It would have been interesting. I know they went and did it digitally. It would have been interesting to see this piece inked, as well. But
You never know what you're gonna find walking through, the
no,
convention floor, right?
well, and asking, right, like inquiring. It never hurts to ask a question, like with Crease, asking about that Malice piece. Oh, you're doing it for somebody? You willing to sell it? Or that cover piece that was exceptionally inexpensive. Just asking the questions because you don't know what the answer is going to be.
Right. Right. No, so very true. Yeah, I saw Jiggy was in the chat, and he wanted to thank you again for the commission opportunity.
Absolutely, Jiggy. Looking forward to future commissions from all your artists.
Exactly. Yeah, I sent a box of mystery sketch cards to a South American rep, and they've been sitting in customs now for almost 2 weeks. So I understand, that's yeah, the shipping issues that can occur when,
Mhm.
especially these days, you just never know with tariff situations and customs issues. But yeah, I'm half tempted to send them another box because who knows how long it's going to sit there.
So, not to dampen your spirits, I had I've had pieces take 50 days to get through customs.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
That's nuts. I thought I was ahead of the game. I sent them out the week before Mystery Sketch started. I figured, oh, he'll have them within a day or two of the sale starting, and now it's like 10 days into it, and they just stopped. I think on the 3rd of April, it says it made it to Argentina, and it has not moved or been updated since that time.
Yeah, I have found DHL tends to breeze through, but other methods definitely do seem to get stuck.
Yeah, this was USPS.
Mhm.
Another South American rep actually sent me a DHL label saying that use this. DHL has been a better success. The track record of getting things through quicker has, so yeah. So DHL is actually coming to the house tomorrow to pick up a mystery sketch
Yeah.
box. So live and learn, right? It probably doesn't. It's probably not that dramatically different in price, but who would have thought that just your shipping method alone was going to get stuff held up in customs for so long? But I'm learning.
Yeah, well, and I see how quickly Jiggy shipments tend to get over to you.
Through with DHL, he's always used,
Oh, is he?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he's always used DHL with at least certainly with the mystery sketches. That's always fun because I know the package when it arrives. That's a DHL on the front porch. So yeah,
But overall, it's been a great year and a half, really diving in and uh, learning. I still feel I have a lot more to learn. So I appreciate the community and the people that I've connected with so far, and just this forum and the opportunities that CAF presents.
well, I'm putting your link to your CAF gallery one more time into the chat for everybody. So, go ahead and follow Dave's CAF gallery so you get updated as he makes new posts to it. It's always the good thing to do for collectors you get to know here through the chat and these shows and meeting at cons. So and watching galleries couldn't be easier now. You just hit the watch gallery button, you're all set. So so yeah, I highly encourage that. And Dave, it's fun, man. I'm glad you introduced yourself at the bar before the show. I think
Absolutely.
that was like Thursday night. So
Mhm.
that was that's awesome. I mean, I appreciate getting to meet you ahead of everything. It made seeing you first in line on Friday all the more fun.
Very true.
But yeah, no, this has been great. I'm glad you have Jenny to be like a partner in crime and uh, on your exploration of original art collecting. That's always
Absolutely.
good.
Like one of the best con wives ever, by far. And I appreciate the fact that she also has interest in the celebrity side of the cons as well. So it's not all focused on original art outside of OX.
There you
Um,
go.
but again, she really enjoyed OX, and has said it is one of her favorite OX, or one of her favorite cons now.
She has accepted the trophy of best con wife, I think, right
Absolutely,
there.
absolutely. Carrying that portfolio around for 12 hours at a show.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, congrats to you. That not everybody can say that. But yeah, Dave,
That's true.
honestly, man. Well, so we're looking forward to seeing you at OX in 2027 in March. But Yeah, maybe. Well, clearly some people are going to get to run into you before that time because you at least got 12 to 15 shows in between now and then
Most definitely.
to get out there.
Are you coming up for the Providence show?
Oh, the IC3 show?
Mhm.
We
Is that
haven't
on
talked about
Pazzano?
it. I miss going to the last show. I would like to go to it. Definitely. I mean, I guess yeah, we'll have to see. I want to go. If I can fit it in, I will definitely do it. I know I'm going to be at the Jacksonville show because that's just a couple hours away.
Mhm.
So that and they're in a new venue over there too. So it's Casper's gotten to see it already, but I haven't. I've only gotten to see pictures of it. It's like a brand new outdoor indoor space that has that's just been. I think it literally just opened within a few months. So this is one of the first bigger events that they're going to have there. So that'll be fun. But I'm never too big for any show. I went to Comic Art Con for crying out loud. That's smaller than IC3 Providence. All right, and that doesn't even compare. And I flew all the way to New Jersey for that. So no. Of course I'd love to go. I mean, I want to. I actually, even though I didn't go to the last one, I did some pre-show commissions that we helped promote, and so I
Mhm.
got pieces from artists that I wasn't familiar with, and they all came out great. And yeah, I think, but I had other people pick them up. Kazzer picked
Sure.
stuff up for me when he went there. So, you know, yeah, I'd like to go, but we'll see.
Yeah. You had asked if I was going to any new shows that I hadn't been to before, and that is on the list.
Sweet.
So, yeah.
Well, I know tickets are going to be going on sale for that pretty soon. I have to we're using Ticket Tailor for that, the same system that we use with OAX. So I got the email from Sardo today
Mhm.
to get that all prepped up and ready to go. So I think those are going to be going on sale May 1st, maybe. I could be wrong, but I think that's correct. So we'll be promoting that very soon. But yeah, maybe Dave, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I've
if
never
not,
been to Providence. I've always wanted to go. It's one of the
it's a nice city. Great places to eat for sure.
mhm.
Um, and if you're into more history or historical, um, Providence does have quite a bit to offer.
I would enjoy that. I went to school in Beverly, Massachusetts, and I
Oh,
lived in Gloucester for 2.5 years. So no, I love uh,
and yet you just called it Gloucester? You
Gloucester.
lived there for 2 years? Yeah, it's Gloucester.
Yeah, well, I never got
I
beat
grew
up
up in
there. I got
I grew up
robbed
in
once while I was
Massachusetts.
there.
Oh, did you?
Two thugs, getting off the fishing boat, decided they needed to shake down the scrawny art student, and they did. They got my $20 or whatever it was. But yeah, home of the yeah, no, but yeah. So I mispronounced it all my life. What am I gonna do? I lived in
It's
Manchester by the Sea for a year too. That I can pronounce.
true. Now pronounced Worcester
But yeah,
or Peabody.
I think they don't even pronounce it the same. So some will say Worcester and Worcester, and
That is true. It's always
I heard
funny.
it in so many different ways.
Yeah. It's funny so I went to school in Worcester, and, when all the kids come in freshman year, how everybody pronounces it absolutely wrong.
Mhm.
But no, if you're able to get up for Terrificon as well, such a great comic show.
I
But
I think it'd be fun. Yeah, if I've never been there, but no, I've only heard great things about it, and it's been around for a long time.
mhm,
So yeah, I should. I would like to get to that show. I've been to Baltimore once. Yeah, Baltimore's okay, but I think when I rank that with like Heroes and stuff, Heroes is just just has so much more to offer, at least for me.
right.
Um, but yeah, Terrificon is a show I would like to get to
Mhm,
sometime.
yeah,
We'll
and
see.
if Maureen gambles, it's at a very large, nice casino as well.
She's good. She likes slot machines. I can tell you that. So if they have slot machines, then she'll have something to do.
As does Jenny.
There you go. Well,
Yep.
then they'll okay. Well, yeah, I'm not much of a card player. I'm not good at it. So I just I like the noise and the ambience that a good casino brings.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm not a big gambler. I'll spend it on original art
Yeah, exactly. Put the money on art.
rather than
Don't
putting it in
blame-
a slot machine.
Oh man. All right. Well, listen, everybody. We appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. So
Oh, it was great. Thank you.
Yeah, no, this was a good time, and clearly we'll be back tomorrow night. We have an amateur dueling dealer match between Jordan and Jason.
Mhm.
So, and totally different structure. I think it's 12 rounds. The first 10 rounds, because it's tax day, they're going like $100 in round one, $200 in round two, all the way up to round. I think is it through 8 or 9? I can't even remember. Either way, it's just all fairly affordable art, and then a kind of 3 rounds, I think, or 2 rounds of anything goes. So yeah, there'll be a lot of artwork that's if you just had to pay the tax man, there's going to be affordable art tomorrow, and it'll be a good time. Jordan and Jason haven't had a match. No, have they? No, they've never done a match together, but they're two of the people who've done amateur matches earliest. Jordan did his first show with Dino, and Jason did his first show with Mikhail, and they did them in the first 4 to 6 months of doing dueling dealers in 2021. So yeah, it'll be a good time. It's overdue for them to be together on a show. But Dave, thanks for doing this, man.
It was a
A lot
pleasure.
of fun, and yeah,
Appreciate it.
we will run into each other again soon. Don't
Thank
when
you.
I shut this thing off, don't turn off because I want to ask you a couple of questions before we're done tonight.
Of course.
All right. Good
Thanks,
night,
Bill.
everybody. We'll see you again tomorrow.